Good evening, Simon here, Explosive Action. I am back with a metal record update. Got 6 OG pressings here to take a look at, 5 thrash and 1 death metal, so let's get going. In the background we're listening to the fairly obscure split CD here between Purulence and Ameamon. I believe that's how you say the names. Purulence from Canada and Ameamon from France, I believe is what the bands are from. And this is pretty much all these guys did. Both these bands did some demos, did this split together in 1993, put it out on Atapuerca Records out of France, and that's it. Nothing else came from these guys. But it's a cool little piece of history here, particularly this first band, Purulence, who've got a lot of gore guts in their sound. So yeah, good stuff here. First up, we're going to take a look at a one-and-done Italian thrash metal band from the Bologna area, 1991. This is Oblivion. This is as I said, fairly obscure Italian release. Thrash was mostly done by this point in 1991. Like, unless you're a band like, Megadeth, Sepultura, that kind of thing, thrash was pretty much on the way out. And these guys came to it pretty late. I got to say, it's pretty outstanding. Non-outstanding. It is not outstanding. It's perfectly fine thrash metal. It's just, not a cut above anything else. But it's definitely a curiosity. I'll give it that. Wow. I tripped over this thing in a local record store, and it was very well priced. So I just picked it up. It's simple as that. It's got pretty sloppy drums, a decent guitar, a very strained attempt at clean vocals with a bit of early Testament vibe going on to them. Good punch to the bass, I'll give it that. A good twang in the bass, and when it mixes with the kick drum, it actually has a bit of a presence. So that's probably the best part about it. Some good sort of Kirk Hammett style solos, like the lead guitar is actually pretty decent. Nice acoustic intro on the second track here. I think it's called Guilty Youth. There's the guys in the back there. Yeah, acoustic intro leads into a bit of a technical sounding sort of speed metal kind of thing. But really, this is just a band doing their first album, 6 tracks. It's pretty, I don't know if I want to say amateur, but it's pretty just, basic, I guess, is what you want to say. But anyway, it's not going to win any awards, absolutely, but it is definitely the kind of obscure find that's fun to trip over in the wild, especially out here in Australia. Why this actually independent release of an Italian band ended up out here in Sydney, who can say? Somebody might have brought it over here, maybe a handful of copies were imported back in 1991. I have absolutely no idea, but it's kind of strange. Metal Archives has a note saying that this is considered one of the rarest records out of Italy, but I kind of dispute that. At least on Discogs, there's 3 copies right now that are €20. That's not the rarest thing ever. That's pretty cheap, really. And, I paid Australian equivalent of that, so there you go. There's the lyrics inside. Your standard thrash collage, looks alright. And LP's just on black. There's the label. There you go. It says Oblivion. I said it's an independent release, so no record label. They put it out themselves. Cool logo. More lyrics, all in Italian. The whole thing's in Italian. I should have mentioned Italian language. What does it say? Anarchy is freedom. Government is slavery. Nice little bit of politics there. The only thing in English on this. So it's like I said, it's not too bad. It's fine. I enjoyed listening to it. It's just, Fenris from Dark Throne would call it boring thrash, and that's what it is. Oblivion out of Bologna in Italy. Am I even saying Bologna right? I want to say Bologna. I kind of do want to say Bologna, but anyway. Oblivion, not too bad. Check it out. Next up, debut album from 1987, and moving up the echelon from the previous album we talked about. This is Paradox with Product of Imagination. Really cool album. Very happy to get this one. Mid-paced to fast, sort of riffy thrash. Certainly feeling like a response to Master of Puppets than the usual Teutonic bands. As I said, these guys, they're German, so you'd expect a bit of Creator or Sodom. Not at all. They're looking to America at this point. Big fan of their follow-up album, Heresy. I got that one on LP maybe about 3 years ago now. Absolutely love that album, always did. I had a download of it for a long time. Always wanted the copy and was lucky to get Heresy. This album is not as good as Heresy, but I mean, that thing is, I hold that pretty high, so, you know, that's a hard thing to aim for. But anyway, they sort of mix in a bit of artillery into their sound as well, like Fear of Tomorrow, but really there's a lot of tropes here from Metallica. There's a lot of Metallica tropes. And then they refine their sound a bit on Heresy, the album that come after this one. This is just straight ahead, cracking, really good thrash, straight ahead stuff. Nothing too, you know, crazy or anything. And then you take a look at the band photos. I mean, isn't that amazing? Like the zebra pants guy over here, old mate with the flying V in red. Look at that scary face. Man. Oh, it's an amazing photo. That is so fantastically 80s. Paradox. So the title track is the fourth track on this one. Product of Imagination. That's probably my favorite track on this thing. It has a build-up. It starts sort of like a Call of Cthulhu kind of thing, into some sort of shredding, just belting it out guitars, and then the proper song kicks in, thunders in with the drums. It is such a good build-up on that song, and as I said, it's like my favorite track on this album. And the whole thing is just quality thrash all the way through. I mean, he's not here to mess around. Like, that's a thrash guitar. It's proper thrash. The album ends quite abruptly. This is strange. The last track on here is called Wotan 2. And it's this 18-second long shouting. They just go, Wotan! And then in German for 2, Zwei! And some just random guitar and drums. And that's it. Like, it's like the comedy track they threw on the end. And I wondered why it was called a 2, so I looked on the archives, and their demo before this album, they just had Wotan, like, you know, Wotan 1, which is the same kind of thing, 16 seconds long. I don't know, I guess they thought it was funny. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't detract or anything like that, it's just a silly outro. The rest of the tracks, just top quality, straight ahead thrash, German thrash, but playing in that American style. So yeah, take a look on the inside. Very happy to get this one. There's the lyrics, the thing's on Roadrunner. Should take a look at. Standard looking Roadrunner label, nothing too exciting. Black record, anything else in there? Don't think so, nope. So yeah, as I said, not as good as Heresy. If you're going to give Heresy a 9, then this one's sort of a 7.5. And I think that's kind of a fair summation of what's going on here. Good quality debut from Paradox with Product of Imagination, awesome. Staying in Europe now, we're going to Sweden. 1991, third album from Hexenhaus. This is Awakening. Man, lots of chops on this thing. It is technical thrash. Absolutely love this thing. I had their second album. I had that one for quite some time. That was a recommendation. And then I tripped over this one on Discogs, snapped it up very quickly. I nearly had the debut album as well. In fact, I even paid for it. The seller could not find the album in his collection. Very sad day, but I did get the third one, so very happy with that. Awakening. Thinking man's thrash, that's what you get with Hexenhaus, absolutely. Prominent bass is what, you know, is common thing with sort of technical, progressive thrash bands. The bass is really apparent, which is really cool. Supported by some sort of sporadic keyboards and sort of sound effects, chimes and things like that, making it a bit, just a bit more worldly. Very clinical but heavy as balls production. Love the sound of this thing. It sounds very fresh, but 1991, right? It still sounds really fresh. You could release this sound today, it would still be relevant, I think. Change of vocalist from the previous albums. Where is the guy? So this is Thomas Lunden here on vocals. He is different to the guy that was on the second album, who was different from the guy on the debut. But Thomas stayed with them for this and then the fourth album, which I've not heard. He's got a set of pipes on him. He's clearly, a power metal style vocalist. Really clean, lots of highs, very nice vocals. And yeah, good set of lungs on him, absolutely. The absolute best song for me on this one's the closer on side 1, called Necronomicon Ex Mortis, the Book of the Dead, for those that know their Evil Dead. It's 11 minutes long, and it's a journey through all things thrash. Like, everything you can think about thrash ends up in that song, and it's put together so well. Even has some Spanish guitar for added flair. Yeah, such a good album, such a good album. I'm actually wondering if I rate this one more than the second album. I'm not too sure. I'll give it a bit more time and see if I do. But either way, Awakening, fantastic album from Hexenhaus. Take a look inside. This is on Active Records. Thanks list and the lyrics. Take a look at the LP, just the blue Active label, same on both sides. And I think that's pretty much it. Yep. So that's Hexenhaus with Awakening. Try and get you back in there. Third album. Like I said, band from Sweden, technical thrash. If you like your thrash a bit more thinking, a bit more, just less brutality and more, just more planning put around it. It's more articulated. You're going to like Hexenhaus and you're going to like Awakening. Next up from 1987 we have Bulldozer with 9. It has 9 tracks on it, as the title would suggest. Italian thrash metal. The debut album is one I've been wanting to get for a very long time. Has not shown itself. The first time I've seen Bulldozer show up was with this album, so jumped on it as soon as I saw it. This is blistering black thrash. For the most part, that is exactly what you get here. Sometimes it's a bit more speed metal. Sometimes it even goes into the Venom sound, but really this could have been a template for something like Destroyer 666 would have done later on Unchain the Wolves. There is so much of that in this, particularly with the thin, very thin trem riffing sound that they get out of the guitar. So good. It's like, particularly the first track is called 9 for the 9 tracks, and it's just called 9. It is like early Sodom kind of material, but with that more forward-thinking, thrashier black thrash sound that the later bands would take and run with. So good. Oh my god. The nasty ripping sound from this just never stops. It goes the entire album. You do not get time to have a drink of water, and the thing's over in like half an hour or so. It is a quick album. Furious stuff. Vocals from this guy here, who is also on here, with actually same expression. Outstanding. This is, what's his name? Well, they've not put it on the back here. Oh yeah, AC Wild. There you go, right under it. AC Wild. He looks kind of reminds me of Hobbs right there with that photo. And I think it's almost that kind of relationship where he is the band, he's the figurehead, like Hobbs, Angel of Death, and that blackened tinge that Hobbs almost had. At least they had it more in the appearance, but these guys have it in the sound. But anyway, second track, Desert with an exclamation mark. It starts with a more slower melodic passage, and then sort of goes into pummeling double kicks that don't stop for the entire song, which is just fantastic. I love this thing, it's so good. And old mate AC Wild, he's got this sort of gruff, shouty vocal that reminds me a bit of Max Cavalera, which was very appealing. So yeah, definitely the blackest and thrashiest of their albums to this point. The first album, the name escapes me at this point, is more in that Venom and a bit more Motorheady kind of speed thrash metal. They've just owned the black metal side of it by this album here. It is black thrash to a T, and in 1987. So good. Lyrically, very evil most of the time, and immature for the rest of it. There are songs on here. There's one here called Misogynists, but then the track before that's called Ilona the Very Best. Ilona being presumably a woman, and the lyrics, well, yeah, you've got to believe me, you can read it yourself. Apparently she was the best at what she did. some very childish lyrics on this one, but it doesn't matter. It's all good fun. Yeah, just a stunning, savage beast of an album. So good. There's the lyrics. And again, a thrash collage, which we have The Sex and AIDS written in really big writing on there, and all kinds of other stuff. This is probably, actually looking at it closely, a lot of things I probably shouldn't have just shown, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll get away with it. And take a look at the album here. It's actually got the sort of cover art there, which is nice, and the Disco Magic is the label it comes out on. So there you go. That is Bulldozer with 9. Absolutely fantastic album. Been playing this a few times since I got it. I only got this 3 days ago, maybe, at this point. And yeah, I played it at least 4 times. So there you go. Bulldozer with 9. Really need to get some more Bulldozer in my life. In the past, I would have said we're staying on the continent, but hey, Brexit happened, so we're not anymore. This is out of the UK, Xentrix with Shattered Existence. 1989 debut from this Lancashire English band. So good. I've been after some Xentrix on LP for a long time. There's some reissues that came out. I think it's on Music on Vinyl that came out recently. But at this point, I was just going to hang out and wait for an OG, and very happily that I did. I can actually see through the screen right now. Mark G with a C is giving me a big childish grin because I know how much he loves this band. So this one's for you, Mark. Seriously influenced by the Bay Area bands, notably Testament. There's some very definitive Metallica riffs in here as well. Absolutely. They're not, definitely on this album, they're not trying to be anything very different. They're just taking the Bay Area sound and running it through English amplifiers, I guess, and that's what you get. Xentrix, Shattered Existence. Mid-pace thrash, some sort of faster gallops as well. Another one on Roadrunner. Or Road Racer, actually, Road Racer edition. Some really cool peppery drums, got a lot of punch to them. I really love the drum sound on this one. Lots of little triplets and just neat little tricks. I'm always listening to the drums on these albums, so yeah, very happy with the drum sound on this. Real just head banging thrash, like beer in one hand kind of thrash. That's exactly what you get with Xentrix. Good time stuff, not party thrash. Just you're at the gig and you're not at the front, you're in the mid, and you got your beer and you just, yeah, I'm watching Xentrix. That's Shattered Existence. That is exactly what this is. It's so good. The track Balance of Power, second track on this one's probably my favorite. It's got like really cool passages and riff structures. The Metallica stuff that they really seem to focus on is sort of the bridges between passages. Like Metallica always has those cool noodly bits they do between sections. That's what Xentrix sort of pick up on here quite particularly, I think, which works really well. Throws me back to like Ride the Lightning kind of era when they do that noodly bits. The third track, Crimes, which is they're all about sort of 4 or 5 minute long tracks. Yeah, Crimes. That one will have you doing windmills in your living room. That's the hair out of the ponytail and just that's a windmill song. Such a good, just bang out thrash album. Good fun times. I've had the sequel to this one, which is called For Whose Advantage, which is arguably a better album. I've had that on CD for 15 years or something, original press CD. Always wanted to get this one on CD to go with it. Did not think the first thing I would find would be the LP edition, so yeah, it came up on local Discogs, snapped it up, of course. Very, very happy to get this one. So yeah, there you go, Shattered Existence. We'll take a look inside. Get the lyrics, as I said, it's on Road Racer. There's the band with, big sunglasses, cool band. And yeah, I mean, look at this guy here. He's even doing a very early sort of James Hetfield kind of look there. Bit of Dave Mustaine actually in that. Very cool. And should just be standard black vinyl on Road Racer. So yes, there you go. That is Xentrix with Shattered Existence. Very happy to get some Xentrix on vinyl. The next album has been in my genes for 25 years now. and I cannot possibly be subjective about how I talk about it. That is Carcass, Symphonies of Sickness. I mean, yeah. I could just stop right here. Anyway, yes, Symphonies of Sickness, Carcass. Necroticism has generally been my favourite Carcass album. Always has been. It's the one I've listened to the most over the years. But in the last few years, Symphonies has been replacing that. It's, you know, 1 to 2 are, you know, you got your scales. Really hard to know which one to balance on top. I don't know. At the moment, Symphonies has been getting more plays than Necroticism, and I'm always going back to Carcass. But anyway, super stoked to get this OG press. This is the gatefold. We'll open it up, which gives you your classic meat collage. Absolutely fantastic with all the lyrics. Hard to read blue font. And the back. It's such a simple layout with the silhouette JFK there on the front. But absolutely fantastic. Always loved this and always wanted to get this edition. The CD that I've got is pretty much the meat collage with the logo on it. But I'm just completely thrilled to have this thing now. But you know, if for some reason you've never heard Carcass, which would be unlikely if you're watching this video, there is no better pathological grind album than Symphonies of Sickness. That's it. There really isn't. As far as I'm concerned, that is just fact. They've matured a bit from Reek of Putrefaction 2 years before, I think, and the terrible production sound that thing had, which I've really learned to pretty much love over the years. At first, Reek of Putrefaction was impenetrable, but you know, these days I find it no harder to listen to than anything else. Probably because there's so much noisy shit out there these days. But anyway, Symphonies of Sickness is an improvement, a vast improvement over the debut. Well better thought out songs, better constructed music altogether. This is a blasting riff fest that is completely memorable. It's about the only 1-2 punch opening tracks that could compare to Reek of Putrefaction and Exhume to Consume that I can think of, top of my head, would be Holy Wars and Hangar 18 from Megadeth. Like, that's a fantastic 1-2 combo, but Reek and Exhume, that's up there as well. They are just stellar tracks. The whole album is absolutely fantastic, of course. I mean, you've got Jeff Walker's patented snarling in this. You've got Bill Steer's leads that are so good, he named them. Backed up with his deep gutturals that gave that sort of good cop, bad cop, gore grind, just definitive way that you do vocals that 1,000 bands since have done. Oh man, and then Ken Owens, massively underrated 1-foot blast technique. He is a really good drummer and actually uses the toms as well. Lots of tom rolls on this thing. Just general kit dynamics. He's a really good drummer and was, I don't know, I don't think people sing his praises as much as other drummers from the era, but anyway, always loved his work. Yeah, 1,000 bands use this album specifically as a template. People say Carcass clones. A lot of the time they're referring to this specific album. You get Exhumed, Impaled, Aborted, General Surgery, Dead Infection, Hemorrhage, Pathologist, and we haven't even left the 1990s yet. Definitive stuff. I mean, the intro to Ruptured and Purulence, terrible word. I mean, that intro was so good, the band themselves would troll us in later years, play the intro, and then kick into No Love Lost from Heartwork. Like, it's one of those ones like, you know, the start of Raining Blood. When you hear the drums come in, you know what's coming. That's exactly the same with that song. Anyway, I've rambled enough. Symphonies of Sickness, I finally got the OG press, the gatefold on Earache. It is Mosh 18. So, early stuff from Earache. Back when Earache actually had good bands. Carcass, Symphonies of Sickness. And there you go, that's 6 OG LPs that I've picked up in recent times, and we were listening to in the background the split between Ameamon and Purulence, as in Ruptured in Purulence. Really good stuff. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. If you did like, please subscribe, click the like button, check out this thing, that thing, whatever they may be. See you next time.